All right, guys, I just wanted to talk about a very bizarre situation that seemingly evolved within the past week that has to do with the big-time YouTube star Mr. Beast and his best friend, who is kind of like his right-hand man, or I guess at this point, right-hand woman, coming out and saying that Chris Tyson, that's who this is, HRT, and it's only been 2 months. So a lot of Mr. Beast fans kind of saw Chris Tyson start dressing a little bit more feminine. But guys, this story is actually a lot deeper and a lot more weird than how we normally see these things happen. So my speculation right now is I actually think this is one big troll done by Mr. Beast, probably as a social experiment for a video. The dead giveaway for me is when you actually look at this dude's kind of his overall family life and what's going on behind the scenes. You can take a look at this reporter, and by the way, I'm not sure if that's a real reporter or not. It almost looks like an AI generated image, but the story is YouTuber Chris Tyson went from masculine family man with a 2-year-old son to transgender. So yeah, that is not no. To me, there's no way that's legitimate. To go from think about this. He's married. He has a child with his wife, and in the span of a few years, he becomes a woman? That's the timeline we're dealing with. See, that's why none of this makes sense, and I do think this is some type of long-term social experiment. I give Mr. Beast credit for it. It's a good video idea with the whole trans movement being as big as it is and as huge as it is, and there's a lot of people that think a lot of different things. I know YouTube gets really angry when you say stuff like that, so I'm really not going to comment too much on that. But yes, I do think that this one probably, because to me, I mean, the one thing I will say, if this is real, it is so terrible, and obviously I would not endorse any behavior like this. That is horribly selfish. I don't know how you can go from marrying a woman, having a child with her, and while your kid is almost like a toddler, becoming a woman. Do you realize how selfish and unfair that is? And then, of course, they try and gaslight you and turn themselves into the victim and say, oh, no, you're transphobic. No, you're a terrible person for doing that to your family and probably tearing your family apart. I'm not going to assume that's what's happening here, because normally in a situation where a person becomes trans later in life, it's normally they're very socially awkward with the other gender. They're not confident. They don't like their deep voice. When you look at this dude in previous videos, he's trolling, he's joking, he's got a wife, he has a child with this woman. This really does not fit the profile at all. And, you know, like, it's just crazy to me if that was true. I don't think it is true. I think that this is some sort of long-term, or not even long-term, but I'm guessing they'll come out and be like, yes, it's a social experiment. This is what we do. We wanted to see how people would react to it because it is such a big issue nowadays. So we will see what happens there. You can see he's kind of trolling people and stuff like that in comments, saying he's going to sue them. I'm guessing, that's just stuff's a troll. And then you've got the Bud Light thing with Dylan Mulvaney and that whole story with Dylan Mulvaney getting sponsorship offers from everything. And I mean, listen, I'm not going to comment too much on it, but let me just say, bone structure never lies when you look at Dylan Mulvaney. That's for sure with that. But the Bud Light thing, I quickly want to comment on it. My initial reaction was there has to be some other incentive at play, or Bud Light must really be struggling. That's really all I can think of it when it comes to what's going on with Bud Light, because realistically, I'm really not a big beer drinker. I never drink Bud Light, but I kind of figured Bud Light was just doing normal, whatever. They sell the frat boys, it doesn't taste good. It's just for getting hammered, if you're a young kid on the weekend, whatever. The idea that you would think it's a good idea to market like they did with Dylan Mulvaney in a TikTok video when like 80% of the people that drink your product are probably not going to support that. It's one or two things. Number one, there might be a massive incentive, and this has been discussed with other people. If you guys don't know, apparently within companies, there's huge incentives to use and do sponsorship deals with LGBTQ community people, Dylan Mulvaney being one of the biggest ones. So maybe they tried that like a massive type tax break or something they would be getting by partnering with Mulvaney and doing this. Or they could just be really in a tough spot right now and say, listen, we're going down, our company's going down, we need to try and do something to get younger people. But obviously, even if you were targeting younger people, it's just a complete miss because there's no way the young people that would actually drink your beer, there's not an overlap. It's not like you're going to get a bunch of queer kids being like, let's go drink Bud Light. I mean, it's not... it's just a complete misread by this woman. But she's saying apparently that they hired her because Bud Light was failing and she's trying to bring them back and it's all older people who are drinking. I thought all the people that drank Bud Light were young kids like frat boys, but maybe I was wrong. But overall, I think there was a major incentive, and that's why you're seeing all these sponsorships on TikTok with Mulvaney. It's unfortunate. I don't think TikTok's ever going to get banned. I don't know if you guys saw what happened with that. They say, oh, we're going to ban TikTok, but we're also going to do about 500 other things behind your back in the bill to really take control of you. So, I think it's called the Restrict Act or something. It's like, oh, come on, man. How about you just make a bill, print it up, and say, we are banning the company TikTok. We're going to support that. We would support that. We're not going to support you putting a bunch of crap really broad and saying you get to do all these other things like a Patriot Act 2.0. That's not going to happen. So the Bud Light thing really is weird. Maybe it's a combination of both. Again, the only way it makes sense is if Bud Light really was tanking and this was like a last-ditch effort. I personally thought Bud Light was doing fine, but listen, who knows? Either way, there was probably a major incentive in having this sponsorship. I'm guessing this woman probably just thought it was like a throwaway thing to where there's an incentive behind doing this. Maybe you'll get something for it. You'll get money back or something, and no one will really bat an eye, right? It's whatever. They'll talk about it on TikTok, but what happened is with the way Twitter is now being completely uncensored, it is completely different, guys. I don't know if you've seen Twitter. It's crazy. I'm not going to get into it right now, but the difference in Twitter videos you will get now, it is remarkable, and it's not surprising the way it's going. So we'll have to see how that situation continues to evolve. It's just a complete misread. In terms of who actually drinks your beer. It's shocking. But yeah, guys, so that Mr. Beast situation, I know all the YouTubers are talking about it. It's a major story, Mr. Beast, one of the biggest YouTubers, one of his entourage members. And if you're Mr. Beast, man... And then there's one more thing I'll say real quick on this trans issue. It's one thing if you want to switch, you're not affecting anyone else, you're not in a relationship, you don't feel comfortable, people are going to disagree with that. What I think, number one, I think a lot of this is manufactured. What I want to see is I want to see the actual numbers of the amount of trans people there are in 2023 versus, let's say, 2015 or 2016. I'm guessing it's through the roof, and we haven't seen any numbers on it. A lot of it's probably manufactured, but even if you are, or you want to believe that, it's one thing to just do it and be single and say, I feel terrible, I'm miserable, I don't want to, date or whatever because I feel socially awkward. Okay, that's one thing. It's another thing to meet a girl. You're a male. You meet a girl. You're straight. You marry her. you conceive a child, and while the child is a toddler, you tell your wife, I want to become a woman. Think about that from the woman perspective and the hormones and everything that goes through childbirth and raising a kid. And the person you're raising the kid with says, I want to be you. I want to be a woman. Listen, this is why I don't think this is legitimate. And look, we'll see what ends up happening with Mr. Beast, whether or not they do a reveal video. But yeah, I'm going to assume that this is one of those social experiments for his video. And this is something that has really been big on social media. So it would make sense in that case. But guys, that is going to do it for this one. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.